Welcome to This Endorian Life, a nostalgic podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name is Steve Rudd.
I'm Nick Gunning, and we're celebrating the spooky season with a vintage Halloween special.
Ooh, today we are discussing Garfield's Halloween adventure with Her Majesty, the Queen of Halloween, Sally Jacoby Murphy. Welcome, Sally.
Thank you for having me.
Do you remember last year? I was trying to remember what we did because the Ewok Hunt, the fan film, always stands out in my head. But last year was those Lego shorts, which were definitely not spooky. So I think we're in a better position this time.
Yeah, I mean, this is undoubtedly Halloween-y.
There's no question. There's no question in my mind. All right, let's get to it. This special is based on the Garfield comic strips by Jim Davis, first appearing on June 19th, 1978. It is also known as Garfield in Disguise and first aired on CBS October 30th, 1985.
Whoa.
This is one of
the boys.
I
saw you put it in there.
I gave you a beat so you could say it, but no. All right. We just did a Hocus Pocus episode over on 902 and Here We Go, and I said that was 1993, and Kendra said whatever she said. So yeah.
Yes.
Your catchphrase is really, really landing with people. So this is one of 12 Garfield specials. They started before Garfield and Friends, the regular Saturday morning cartoon, and continued on through the first several years of that show. So this is one of 12 specials, and Garfield and Friends ran from 1988 to 1994. Garfield's Halloween Adventure won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Animated Program in 1986, and there was a book adaptation of this special that was released by Random House. And it was also included on the Garfield Holiday Collection DVD, which came out in 2014. So I was telling Steve last time that I feel like I've watched this every year since 1985. I mean, maybe that's not true, but it's pretty true. So I'm wondering, Sally, have you seen this before?
Yeah, I mean, I used to watch it as a kid, but I have not seen it since I was a kid. So time was probably 1998.
Okay, gotcha. What about you, Steve?
I have never seen this.
Wow.
I've never seen this. And here's the thing, though. I have seen Garfield before because I recognize the voice. And I know, going into it, I was like, I know what his voice sounds like.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll know that immediately. If they chose a different voice. And it was the same. So it was Lorenzo Music, same guy. And I was like, but I don't know where... Where did I know that from? I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing Garfield ever,
That's crazy.
So I mean, Christmas or special or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there is a Thanksgiving special and there's a Christmas special, and then just a bunch of they go on vacations, they go to the city, whatever. But I feel like Garfield and Friends, which was half based on Garfield and half based on U.S. Acres, the comic strip that's set on Orson's farm. I feel like that was everywhere, in the early 90s, and it reran forever. So I'm sure it was just on TVs as you were growing up because it was all over the place.
I must have.
I don't think I had ever seen the Thanksgiving special, maybe the Christmas special, but definitely not Thanksgiving until we got this DVD. And now that has also sort of become a tradition. On Thanksgiving, we watch Garfield Thanksgiving and the Macy's Day Parade. That's required viewing for us.
That's fun.
It's good.
Yeah. Here is a little bit about the cast and crew. It was written by Jim Davis with a story by Jim Ryan. It was directed by Phil Roman. Garfield, as Steve mentioned, is voiced by Lorenzo Music. And this is funny because Lorenzo Music also voiced Venkman in the Ghostbusters cartoon, which was the Bill Murray role. And then later, when they made a Garfield movie, Bill Murray voiced Garfield, which was the Lorenzo Music role. So they keep Bill Murray and Lorenzo Music keep trading off voicing characters, which I think is funny.
No way. That's funny.
Yeah. Tom Huge. What a name. What a name.
Tom Huge.
Tom Huge. Voices John and Binky the Clown. And I was checking into this because that is such a recognizable voice. And he played John the whole time this series was going, 1983 all the way through 1994 when the show ended. This is his only credit. John and other characters in the Garfield world are the only times he's ever worked as a voice actor. And I just thought that was so strange.
That is strange.
Well, maybe because his clown voice is pretty terrifying.
Hey,
it's not. I was thinking that is not kid friendly. It's not a
No.
kid friendly voice. And I was like, that's
Yeah.
where they were like, maybe too much.
That
But
did.
nobody picked him up for like a actual like clown like murder
No.
movie or something. That
I
would have
guess
he'd been
not.
perfect.
No.
That was the moment when I was watching it where I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." Because like I'm watching it, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember this. I remember this." That clown voice, I was like, "Oh, I remember
Yeah.
that."
Yeah.
Yep. We have C. Lindsay Workman, who was the old man that they go and see. He had previously voiced Garfield's grandpa in Garfield on the Town, and is a working actor who had tons of credits, like classic TV and movies back to the '60s. We have Desiree Goyette as the woman at the door. She also sings in one of in the opening song, "This Is the Night," which is sung by Grammy Award winner Lou Rawls. Lou Rawls sings "This Is the Night" and "Scaredy Cat." I gotta say, often in these specials, when there's like a music break, I'm like, why are we doing this? But I love these Lou Rawls songs. Like when it starts, he's like, "This is the night." I'm like, yeah, keep going. Keep singing. All right. Our Star Wars link for this episode is Greg Berger, who voices Odie and the TV announcer in this special, and of course throughout the other specials and Garfield and Friends. He was a prolific actor with both voice roles and live action roles, and his career dates back to 1972 with the anime Mazinger Z. He has several Star Wars credits, with notable standouts as Darth Maul in the Phantom Menace video games, and the droid. I know, yeah. Odie voices Darth Maul, which is kind of weird. But he also has a recurring role in both Clone Wars and Rebels as the droid Kalani.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to like. You would think that would be. Oh, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I never even knew that. But you think that's a lot of characters to actually play in Star Wars and just kind of still fly under the radar.
I know he did a ton of video games. Like this, I mean, video games outside of Star Wars, but within Star Wars, he's in pretty much every Star Wars video game. It seems like. But goodness. I know, yeah, it's funny. It's funny when because I never even think of Odie really as having a voice actor, because he's just, being like,
yeah.
Someone's got to do it, and I guess Frank Welker was busy, so that's the way it goes.
It's really funny. Greg Berger. Yeah.
Greg Berger. Yeah.
What? Wait a minute. I saw one here that we would know. Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah.
He's Atuma and Galacticus and the Thing.
Okay.
Wow. He's all three.
I think Sally's video game knowledge is limited to Super Smash Brothers, maybe Mario Kart, and Minecraft. Is that about right, Sally?
Yes.
Okay.
And watching my wife play Zelda occasionally on the TV.
Zelda, yeah, no.
Usually when she's like, "Come look at this thing I'm riding on," or something like that, and I have to come to the room and look at it and leave the room.
That's awesome.
So I don't think Greg Berger did any voice work in those video games, Sally, but other ones, he did.
Not in Minecraft.
I don't think, no, he's not voicing anybody there.
Like literally the one, well, yeah, he's nobody's. But like, yeah, Zelda, probably the one game he didn't do.
Although the Odie voice is pretty similar to Minecraft villagers. It's just like,
oh, that's true. Yeah.
They could give him a call. They could give him a call.
So here's a good poll for our listeners. He was the voice of Archer from Small Soldiers. Archer, wow. The Argonian, or I can't remember his name is the Gregorian. I don't know. That's such a classic movie, man. Small Soldiers with the toys.
I think that is
Tommy
probably
Lee.
The movie that cemented my crush on Kirsten Dunst. I'm still not over
Something
it.
It wasn't Spider-Man?
No. Small Soldiers all the way.
Such a good movie.
I agree.
Movie. All right, sorry. Back on topic.
It's up to you. You're up now. Uber detailed plot.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, let's get into this Uber detailed plot because I'd like to talk about this. This was fun. Uber detailed plot of Garfield's Halloween adventure. It's the early morning and Garfield is awoken by a Binky the Clown TV program. He tries to ignore it, but overhears that this very night is Halloween and there's going to be candy. Once Garfield sleeps in and steals John's breakfast, he devises a dastardly plan to use Odie to get double the candy that night. So he and Odie search the attic for costumes and find a set of pirate costumes. Garfield and Odie head out to trick or treat and they definitely get their fair share of spooks along the way. Garfield and Odie cross a river to loot candy on the other side. Garfield nearly feels remorseful for his candy gluttony, but no, of course. Instead of crossing the river, they get swept downstream. While Garfield wallows in self-pity, Odie spots land ho! They arrive on a very spooky island with a particularly spooky mansion. A light is on, so they decide to investigate. They sneak inside and it appears empty, so they warm themselves by the fire. Suddenly, they are startled by an old man they didn't notice sitting in a chair by the fire. They try and escape, but the old man orders them to stay and listen to his story. A story of a ruthless band of pirates 100 years ago this very night that were held up on the island. They signed a contract written in blood to return to the island 100 years later at midnight, even if it meant returning from the grave to retrieve their treasure. Garfield doubts the spooky story, but the old man assures him it's true, as he was there 100 years ago. Garfield and Odie ignore him and head out to the boat, but the old man took it. Garfield is distraught that his candy is gone. Suddenly, an old clock in the house strikes midnight. Off in the distance, a ghostly ship sails near the island, and ghostly skeletons emerge from the shore. Garfield and Odie both hide. The ghosts enter the house and expose the treasure chest hidden in the floor. Odie sneezes, exposing them both, and they run away and leap off the dock into the water. Garfield unfortunately forgot he can't swim and is swept away. Odie desperately tries to save him, and the two are washed up safely on shore, where they discover their stolen boat with their haul of candy booty still intact. Hooray! Candy, yeah. Back at home, Garfield feels grateful to Odie for saving him and being a great friend, so he gives up half of his candy to him as thanks. Or rather, he gives Odie his own candy back. Roll credits.
There it is. Well, so we already mentioned the Lou Rawls music. We've got the first one and then Scaredy Cat, which is like halfway through. But
Yeah.
I like all of the songs in this. When they're picking through the chest and it's like, what would I be? There's so many things to say. Like I just like all the music. I think it's fun.
Yeah, it's funny because you and I have talked about like the intros to the cartoons that we've been watching, like the throwback cartoons, and just how horrible and jarring there are. And this one, I was like, oh, okay, we're like breaking into song, and then I was like, wait a minute, was that like the intro? Was that like an intro or just a song? And then it was confirmed when they went out trick or treating and they sang again. I feel bad for not mentioning it, but I knew we would talk about it.
Yeah.
It's not integral to the story of the songs necessarily, but yeah, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we are doing songs. Like, this is actually kind of nice. This is nice.
I feel like it kind of works because it's just like it's just a couple of lines.
Right.
I think it'd be tiresome if they were like full blown songs, but it's kind of cute that it's just these. It's almost like a way to move from scene to scene or a way to introduce something that I think is kind of cute.
Little trick or treating montage kind of thing, and
Yeah.
What were the two things they get scared at? That one guy had a mask and they pulled the mask off, but his face looked exactly the same.
Right.
And then there was the ghost. They pulled the sheet. You like looked under it, and of course there was nothing under there. What did you guys think though about the fact that a cat and a dog were trick or treating
by themselves?
With no supervision. Their costumes just
this is always the weird thing about Garfield is there's always this like weird ambiguity as far as like how much Garfield can interact with the outside world. Because like John, he never actually speaks to John. He's always like thinking to John, like in the comic strips or whatever. But then he goes about the world as if he can speak to other people.
That came into my mind when they were at one of the doors. And like the door opened, they're like, "Oh, these are so cute!" And then you see Candy get tossed, and then Garfield's literally like, he like threatens them or something like that. And then they toss a bunch of candy, and I was like, "Wait, I thought he couldn't talk." So did they just like throw him candy because they were just standing there? I mean, how'd that? I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I guess that is just sort of a hallmark of Garfield. I don't know if you've ever seen those collections called Garfield minus Garfield, and it's John, and they take Garfield out, and they take the Garfield dialogue out, and it's just John is just a weird, lonely man. Like they're they're hilarious, but they're also like dark and kind of funny. Have you seen those, Sally?
I haven't, but I can imagine that they're hilarious.
That's gotta be like he's just talking to nothing. Yeah, it's depressing.
I guess based on Garfield and Friends, I would have assumed that John would go with them. So like I've seen it so many times, like I can't be surprised, but like that is sort of what I would expect. That John would go along, because John doesn't really have much to do. But I gotta say, I like the spooky vibes. You know, like it feels right from the start. It's like this is a Halloween special, and it really goes for it, which I like quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's funny because I also think it was pretty genuinely spooky. I mean, I think the 80s didn't hold back much when it came to like children's creepy Halloween stuff. We were just talking about the Black Cauldron the other day.
Yeah.
And when like those skeletons come out of the water, I'm like, they don't hold punches, man.
It's a different animation.
Yeah.
Like so are the ghosts. It's like, okay, we're not doing like the cutesy like Garfield stuff that you've seen before. Like these are creepy pirates.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
Maybe they're gonna kill them. Maybe Garfield's gonna die.
Yeah, because they have like arms and legs, and all of a sudden then they're just like the head with like the creepy body flapping behind, and that's I didn't watch it with my kids, but I know my little one would have been like, no, and she's 8 or and she does not like that stuff. She wants to like it, but she does not. She'll have nightmares. Yeah, I mean I think you're right. I think it definitely starts out being really creepy, and then it has like the really fun, like lighthearted, spooky stuff with the trick-or-treating, and then it kind of bookends at the very end where I was like, oh, here we go, we're ramping up again. Here's a creepy dude with a very like stern, creepy voice. I can only imagine a kid just like playing with toys and then like whipping their head and being like, huh? And then watching the screen like, oh crap, because I thought that was funny.
Well, I think that's what's so fun about it, because it really captures like all sides of Halloween, because it's like they're excited about the candy, they're like having fun picking costumes. It's all like light and fun. And then they get out there and like, it turns creepy. And so you sort of get like the best of all the fun parts about Halloween in this special, which I think pretty cool. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I've watched it so many times, is because I just feel like, it really gets the assignment and just like does what you want it to do. And it still has, the Garfield humor and so sardonic, and his, relationship with John and Odie is just funny. I mean, there's a reason why it's like the most popular comic strip of all time. It just really holds up.
True.
Yeah, it's timeless. I mean, you can. I'm sure my kids could probably watch it, but it almost seems like there's really no, like when you're watching, you're like, oh, this is definitely for like 6 to 12-year-olds, and then after that, you really can't watch it. Like I watched it, and I was like, this is kind of fun. I enjoyed it.
Maybe we'll have to put it on the docket for future years. But all three of the specials, like the holiday specials, are pretty good. Thanksgiving is funny. Like John invites Liz over, like the girl he's always like chasing, and she accepts. And so they're going to have Thanksgiving together. And of course, he doesn't know how to cook Thanksgiving. So it's just like sort of a funny farce. And the Christmas one is like a genuine tearjerker. So they're all really good. Yeah.
It is funny. I was listening like a podcast the other day, and they were talking about the phenomenon of Garfield and how Garfield just sort of like took over the 80s and 90s, and like everybody had those like Garfield suction cup things that you'd put in your cars, and
oh my gosh,
people, he was in Sunday morning cartoons, and people had like bed sheets Garfield, and kids had backpacks and all this stuff, and it's both weird, where I'm like, why is this sort of like fat, sarcastic cat? Like, what is it that just like worked? But then you watch a special, or like even looking back at some of the comic books, you're like, I don't know, it's just pleasant.
Yeah.
He's just, it's funny, and it's like sort of universalized humor. I don't know.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like the closest comparison when it comes to like what is a cultural phenomenon probably would be Peanuts, but Peanuts are so different, and it has like this huge supporting cast and everything, and like there's so many different areas that comic covers. Garfield is really just about Garfield like having a bad attitude and being lazy, and I feel like like for better or worse, that really speaks to so many people. You know what I mean? It's just like,
I think it's
He hates Mondays.
Mondays do
Yeah.
suck. And
Yeah.
lasagna. So
lasagna. Yeah, but I knew it. What is this lasagna looking food? And I was like, I know that. I know
Yeah.
that from the comics. You know,
Yeah.
it's funny that you mentioned Peanuts because like Peanuts worked because during the time it always had like a moral lesson involved in it. Where this one, I was like, oh, I wonder. And you know, he kind of really pushed on that. Like, I'm gonna get both of our candies. And I thought, I wonder if this is gonna like work its way around. And then it kind of did, but it wasn't like, you know, oh, here you go. See, that's why you should always share your kit. You know, I was like, I was waiting for something like that, and it didn't happen. And I was like, oh, that's kind of nice that it just happened naturally, and there wasn't just like a, you know, all right, now go outside and share your candy with everybody because you have to. You know, and it's
Yeah.
just like the moral lesson. It didn't need it. It just kind of naturally happened where he felt bad, and then was, you know, happy that his friend did all that work to save him, you know, and be there with him. And he was like, all right, you can have your candy, even though he kind of portrayed it as an I'm giving you half of mine, which is I thought was perfect.
It is.
Perfect.
Like
Yeah.
it's so quintessential Garfield because he's not actually being generous. He's just not
Yeah, he's
being.
not.
That's it.
But he is, but he's not. It's like
Right.
that's what's so great about it. Only in Garfield could that, you know, happen. That was really funny.
Let's jump to Ichiwawa moments. What is the best moment of this for you, Sally? What was the moment that you liked the most?
I think I enjoyed watching it again after so many years because it does sort of remind me of my childhood. And I honestly feel like I liked the montage of them trick or treating probably the best. I thought it was just sweet and it was reminiscent of like a lot of those old classic Halloween kind of cartoons.
Yeah. I really liked when it gets spooky, you know, with the old man and the pirate ghost and everything. I really love when they're hiding in the cupboard and you're just kind of seeing the ghost lights like go around and everything. And then what do they sneeze, right?
Yeah, Odie sneezes. Yeah.
Classic Greg Berger. Odie sneezes and the cupboard pops open and there's that moment where all the ghosts just like turn and look at them and they just kind of look and slowly close the door. And then of course the ghosts are onto them and everything. I just thought that was, I mean, I love that it's genuinely creepy and I really thought that whole sequence was funny where, you know, they expose that they're in there and then are hoping to get away with it and then nope. I love that. What about you, Steve? What's yours?
So that scene, did you notice they did a weird thing with like the light of the ghosts? They didn't have like a single pole that like ran and then the light shining through moved. They kind of did like it shifted, right? So it kind of came through the window and it came through the door and like it did like a weird thing. I was like, oh, I wonder why they did that. And it was kind of creepy that they did that rather than like a moving, you know, when a light would move, the rays of light would follow it. They didn't do that. It was kind of like it was like in one window, this window, and then the door, which made it a little bit different. I thought that was kind of clever for me. I just thought I was like, ooh, I loved the music.
Yeah.
And when I thought the music was just the theme song, I was like, oh wow, that was actually kind of good. Like, all right, like good start, you know, good start. And then all of a sudden they started singing and you know, Sally, you mentioned how like that montage song where they're trick or treating is so good. I was like, all right, I like this. Like this is really good. Like it worked.
Yeah.
It didn't feel weird. Like oh, now I'll do this in song form. You know, where you're like, oh boy, here it comes. You know, but it just naturally happened, and I was like, oh, we're singing, okay. And it was a cute scene, and it was really funny. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it could have been longer, but I just thought it hit the nail on the head with everything it needed to. It needed to be funny. It needed to be quintessential Garfield. Even for me, really only knowing Garfield from the comic books and not really the shows, it felt like I was watching a motion picture version of the comics, which I thought was really cool because it was just, I mean, it was the the animation was literally like the comics.
Yeah.
You know, what about O Kavark?
This is a nitpick, but there are certain things in the animation that are inconsistent. Like sometimes they have the candy bags, sometimes they don't have the candy bags, sometimes they have the oars in the boat, sometimes there are no oars in the boat, and it's just like little things like that. But that even as a kid, I was like, well, "Where's the candy? Where's the oars or whatever?" They just, you know, I don't know, that always bugged me when I was a kid, and watching it now, I'm like, yeah, I still notice that.
You're Steving.
It doesn't take anything away from it, but it's just sort of like times that animation from that era was just so sparse. It was like, let's do the least that we can possibly do. Very static background.
Yeah. Like very purple and black. That was
And it's very
basically
connected, like within itself. It's not like, oh, this is weird for this one scene. They're all kind of like that, so it works. But just a thing that bugged me as a wee boy.
So for me, it was, I kind of already said it. It was too short. I felt like it really could have been longer. And, I don't know. I guess this was probably thrown into a half an hour segment.
Yeah.
But I almost feel like they really could have benefited by making it into an hour-long segment.
Well, I mentioned early on that there was a book adaptation of this, like a picture book. And in the picture book, it is a little longer. Like, okay. Garfield and Odie somehow end up with they steal a ring from the pirates or something, or they don't realize they have it. And then the pirate ghosts, like, they think it's over, but then the pirate ghosts follow them home, and they have to get rid of the pirate ring.
That makes total sense. Yeah, they should have done that. That would have been great. Yeah.
Maybe you're onto something. Sally, did you come up with a bad one?
Yes. So I think the only moment that I was like, ooh, this was made in the 80s was in the costume try-on song when he says, I could be a king or a slave. And I thought, I don't really care what culture you're using slavery to dress up as a costume. Right. That's not something we do.
Yeah. That was a weird, but what, did it rhyme or something with the song? Like that was
it must have. I don't even, it's like, yeah, he was giving like 2 examples on it. I will give them credit. That was the only one that was not great. And it being the 80s, there could have been a much longer list.
Yeah.
But I was like, maybe don't dress up as a slave.
Maybe not. Sandals.
Probably we're going for like a prince or a pauper kind of situation.
Yeah.
Probably that's what he meant. Yeah.
How many yub nubs do we give this one, guys? I'm a 5. I'm just going to tell you right from the start. I'm a 5 out of 5.
Oh, you're so biased.
Yeah. I mean, I would also give it a 5.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm the only 4 or 5. I'd give it a solid 4.5. I think it really could have been longer. Yeah. And I think that, like, it's not bad because it's not longer. I
agree.
I'm trying to make that make sense.
Sally, do you want to share with us? I know that you've already been making the Halloween rounds this season. Tell us where else you're going to be this Halloween.
So I've already recorded, but have you tried with Nick and Allie talking about what lies beneath?
That's right.
And I will soon be joining Previously on X-Men with Hillary. We're going to be listening to the podcast Wolverine the Long Night. So we've never done a podcast. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I remember when that came out. I haven't actually heard it, and I know they adapted it into a graphic novel, and it got a 2nd season, and cool. Okay, I'm going to have to listen to that podcast so I can then listen to your podcast. Yeah.
It's very meta.
It is. Well, next time for This Endorian Life, we're going to be back into the Star Wars world where we're concluding the Chewbacca and Han Solo stories that we started in Lego Star Wars All-Stars.
Fun.
Yeah. You should listen to that or watch that, Sally. It was pretty good. We were surprised. We were surprised, pleasantly
I'm always
surprised.
up for a Lego anything.
Yeah. Well, Sally, it's always fun to have you on the podcast. I'm trying to think back over the years how many times we've actually talked to you about something that is spooky. This Ewok hunt, and I think maybe that's it. So.
Yeah.
No, there was something else in there.
Well,
right?
Terrifying Tales had its moments.
Oh, Terrifying Tales. Yeah. Yeah. Ewok hunt, that was good.
Yeah.
That one I still remember. That was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times. Well, happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, and we'll see you next year. This Endorian Life is brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Be sure to check out the other spooky episodes, including Hocus Pocus on 9021 Here We Go, and Wolverine the Long Night on Previously on X-Men. Please rate, subscribe, and share these shows wherever you get your podcasts.
Man, different words, and you nailed it. One take.
Nailed it.
First time. Yeah.